Is a question on probability, and the question is that there's an insurance company that classifies its policyholders into three distinct groups. So the company has three age groups that it classifies its customers into, and group A includes those under 25 years of age, and this group makes up 22% of its policyholders. Group B, which is over here, includes those that are 25 to 39 years old, and they make up 43% of its policyholders. And Group C includes everyone else. That means everyone who is over 40. Now, why does the insurance company do this? Well, the insurance company does this because uh, it's seen that younger drivers as a group tend to have more accidents. So it wants to classify its policyholders into distinct groups so that it can treat them differently, probably charge them differently, right? So that's the rationale for splitting all the customers into different groups. Now, company records show that in any given 1 year period, um, I'm sorry, 11% of its Group A policyholders have an accident, right? So 11% of its Group A policyholders have an accident, and the figures for groups B and C are 3% and 2% respectively, which means for B it's 3% and for C it's 2%. So these are the facts that we have been given, and we are supposed to answer a couple of questions um, based on these facts. So the first question we have to answer is, what percentage of a company's policyholders are expected to have an accident during the next 12 months? So that's the first question we have to answer. So it always helps to have a picture of what's going on, how the groups are. So if I were to draw a Venn diagram, so let me just draw one real quick over here. So this is the set of all policyholders, and they're divided very neatly into three distinct groups. So there's a group A, a group B, and a group C. And the set of policyholders who have an accident is this circle over here. So let's just, this is the set of people who have an accident in a given year. So what we are supposed to find is, well, the percentage of people who are inside this set, right? So if I were to define, let's say, let's define some events first, right? So that will set the vocabulary for our solution. So let's say um, the event A is the event that someone belongs to group A, and B that he belongs to group B, C that he belongs to group C, right? And let's say X. X is the event that a policyholder has an accident, right? So let's just define events like this. So this is group X over here. And what we are supposed to find is the percentage of a company's policyholders who are expected to have an accident during the next 12 months. Now this turns out to be the same. Let me just scroll down a bit. This turns out to be the same as the probability of X, and you can see why. So what would be the percentage of a company's policyholders who are expected to have an accident? Well, it will be the number of people. So if I just denote that by number of people, so number of people in group X divided by the total number of policyholders. Well, what is this expression equal to? Well, this expression is simply equal to probability of X. So if you find probability of X, then we find the percentage of company's policyholders also who are expected to have an accident. So that's what the question is. So how do we find probability of X? Well, let's look at the Venn diagram again. This group X, this set X, is made up of three distinct subsets. The first set is all those people who have an accident and belong to group A. So that is this set over here in white. The second set is made up of people who have an accident but belong to group B. So that's this set over here, X and B. And the third set is, well, you would have guessed this by now, are all those people who have an accident but belong to group C. So this is how we'll calculate the probability. Now we don't have values for either of these probabilities, but we know that we can rewrite them uh, simply as probability of x given A into probability of A plus probability of x given B into probability of B plus probability of x given C into probability of C, right? So we can write it like that. Now we have values for most of the terms, if not all of the terms in this expression. So we'll just have to check how much we know. So, but my guess is we had a lot of facts and they have to come into play at some point of time. So let's see how what we know. So let me bring back the facts of the case. So we have all of these facts over here. So first question, do we know what probability of A is? Well, probability of A, well, 22% of policyholders are in group A, so the probability that a policyholder belongs to group A is, well, 22 by 100. So yeah, so we have probability of A, so this is probability of A. And do we have a probability for someone having an accident given that they are from group A? So if we read the question again, this last bit over here, 11% of its group A policyholders have an accident, right? So given all the people from group A, 11% of them will have an accident in a given 1-year period. So what's the probability of someone from group A having an accident? Well, that's 11%. So this looks like the probability of x given A. So this is 11 by 100, right? Now what about B? Do we know what probability of x given B is? Well, that is 3%, right? So this was the same probability as was given for A, so that's just 3%. So probability of x given B is 3%. And do we know what the probability of B is? Well, 43% were in group B, so 43% is the probability of a policyholder belonging to group B. What about probability of x given C? Well, that was the lowest, that was 2 by 100 times probability of C. Well, that's something we haven't been given, right? So we have a bit of a question mark over here. And if you think about this, that's kind of easy to find. If you look at this Venn diagram, then anyone who is, let me bring back the original question first though, right? Because this one's a bit distracting. So let me just bring back the original question. Right. So anyone who is not in group A or B is in group C. So it should be easy enough to find what the probability of someone belonging to group C is. So the probability of someone belonging to group C would simply be 1 minus the probability of them being in group A minus the probability of them being in group B, right? So both of these probabilities subtract, and this turns out to be 35 by 100, right? So you can check the calculation, but the probability of someone belonging to group C is simply 1 minus probability of A minus probability of B, right? So we plug in this 35 by 100 over here, so that goes here, and if we do the calculation for this, then this whole thing, this whole probability expression, right, this comes down to evaluates to, and I've done this using a calculator, it evaluates to 441 by 10,000, right, which is equal to 4.41%, right? So this is what it comes down to. So the answer to our first question, which was this, that what percentage of the company's policyholders are expected to have an accident during the next 12 months? Well, that's 4.41%. So that answers the first question, right? So let's move on to the second question that's asked, and that second question is, um, suppose Mr. X has just had a car accident. If he is one of the company's policyholders, then what is the probability that he is under 25? Well, X was the event of a policyholder having an accident, so the accident has already happened. And what are we being asked? Well, what is the probability that he is under 25, which means what is the probability he belongs to group A, right? So let me cut this out. I'm sorry about that. So the accident has already happened. So what's the probability he belongs to group A? So let's find this probability. So this is what we are being asked. So what's really important is that you be able to write this expression and that you be able to read this expression. So so this is what we need to find. So probability of A given X is simply probability of X given A times probability of A divided by probability of X. Right? Now we know on the right hand side, we know we have values for each of the three terms. And so if we plug them in, then what do we get? We get probability of X given A, that was 11%. So 11% of, so the probability that someone from group A will have an accident is 11%, into probability of A, that was 22%. And this whole thing, let me just get down a little bit. Now, where's the button go? Yeah. This whole thing divided by probability of X. Now, this was something we evaluated in the first part. So that was 441 by 10,000. And what does this amount to? Well, 100 times 100 is 10,000. So this becomes 11 times 22 divided by 10,000 multiplied by this 10,000 goes up. So that's 10,000 divided by 441. So the 10,000 cancels. And what we are left with is 242 by 441, right? Which turns out to be about, I think, 54.87%. So I'm doing all of these calculations using a calculator. So I'm sorry again. Don't freak out about how quickly I'm doing them. I'm not doing them that quickly in my head. I'm using a calculator. So anyway, I wanted to show you this 54.87% because if you look at it, it's actually quite high, right? I mean, this is the probability that if someone's already had an accident, that they are under 25 years old. So this is a better than half chance. And what's really amazing about this, and you know, also you could say probably disturbing about this is the fact that let me pull the facts of the case again. So let me get rid of this for now, and let me bring the facts of the case again. Those in group A, they made up just 22% of the policyholders. But if there is an accident, then there is a better than half chance, almost a 55% chance that they are the ones who are involved. So they make up just about a fifth of the policyholders. But if there is an accident, there's more than half a chance that they are the ones who are involved. So so there's a lesson there for all those in group A, those under 25, you know, drive safely. And you know, but anyway, that's what it is. And the insurance companies do a lot of this analysis, and so that they can price different people differently, so they can charge them different prices. So anyway, that was the question, and that's how it's done.